Baby,
Hey there.
you know what time it is.
I'm excited to find out.
Baby,
Yeah.
you know what time it is.
With bated breath, please.
It's Studio Johnny Q time.
Really? What's that mean?
That means it is time to drop your nerd drawers, baby.
All right.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm sure it's sexy.
It does sound sexy. Welcome, one and all, friends and netizens, to Studio Johnny Q. Randy, give a fist pump.
Hey.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome. I'm Johnny Q of the said Studio Johnny Q. That's Randy at Master Control. That's our receptionist upstairs barking. Let me see here. I'm gonna give a little pan. Hopefully nobody gets some motion sickness.
Too late.
All right. Randy M50 is being cranky. This is what we call addition through distraction, where we try to do a little value add on your day, the monotony with some of our nerd crafts and conversations. Randy, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing fairly well. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there, brother. I don't know. We're trying to do some restreaming. We're using actually Restream to try to do some multi-streaming. So we're trying to stream simultaneously to Twitch and to YouTube. So any issues that will likely come up surrounding that, please, we beg your patience. So if we're having any issues, so Randy, just be sure to be mindful of both chats if you would.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the chat window within YouTube. It's still awkward with the restream. It doesn't want to play nice with getting to the window that we want that has the chat.
Understood. Yep. And I was getting ready to say I'm not sure exactly which items are in the descriptions, but like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that you can do for people such as us is so greatly appreciated. We have some recommended gear and some, if listed below, for a new heat gun we've been upgraded to, and a glue gun and a heat gun, and I'm enjoying them both tremendously. Randy, I'm going to make a switch over to the ceiling cam here. We yesterday were working on our. Here, I'll give us a little. Last time we were working on assembling our town of Quasi, I believe. I think I've messed with it even further since then. Not happy with it, but like we often say here, you got to make it ugly before you can make it pretty. And so I think we're in a little ugly design stage, but that's all right. It will be something that we like in the end. Of that I am certain. But I am going to bring us down here into our workspace, Randy, and then also let's go back to our corner cam here, and still working on getting some camera placements where I want them post flood. So far so good with the replacement floor though, Randy, here in the underwater grotto lair that is Studio Johnny Q. I couldn't sleep last night, and as I mentioned to you, and I think probably several times already, and so one of the things I did was I was messing around with some of these really cool minis I had backed in a Kickstarter a while back, and while I was doing some of the moves or putting things back post flood recovery. Let's see here if I can get this into a more conducive. Zealot Miniatures had this Kickstarter, and it was called Lichmeyer, I think, something or another. And I the detail on these things is pretty insane. There you go. Here you go. Take a look at that, Randy, if you can. Just the detail on these.
Oh, nice.
And but these are these have to be assembled. So I was using some of that E6000 to varying levels of success, but on some of the smaller pieces, I just was not getting where I needed to go with it. So I ended up buying some super glue, some at the local nerd shop yesterday. I paid a visit to our guard tower, our local nerdery, and picked up some super glue there that's supposed to be pretty good for minis. So I'm going to use that, I think, on some of these smaller parts, like for example, this guy has a hand.
Tater Sauce says, "Hey y'all."
Hey, Tater. That's
What's up, Tater?
That's our buddy JC.
What's up, JC?
Thanks for checking us out on the Twitch. We appreciate any feedback that you have from that end. But so Randy, here you can see, if I do it here, these pieces got to be assembled, right? And I was trying to use the E6000, but it's just a little too small to be effective for that. But like I did use it successfully here on this big bad boy. Check out this homie.
Whoa, where exactly is that ring attached?
Well, Randy, he says he hears you knocking, but you can't come in. And yeah, so this guy, his hand here, it was glued, and then this same thing with this one. So, but this whip was so heavy, like I had to glue it, and you're holding it like here for like 2 minutes, but then I couldn't just let it dry like this because it was just going to fall off. So I kind of had to put him over here, and it worked. I mean, it's very secure. And his head, the same thing. His head, just in the tiny top parts here, that's where it gets attached. So, like I say, some places I was successful. And also, there's some really, really cool heroes that came in this. Check out this wizard. The detail that they're getting on these resin prints is just really quite stunning. Let me see here. And I apologize because I am the absolute worst when it comes to this. And Randy, I heard your inner monologue right then. It said, "You are the absolute worst." He really is. That's not just a superlative. There. Tried to add a little bit more light. I think it helps. Check out that detail, though, Randy, on this one.
Oh, nice. There you go.
I mean, isn't that nuts?
Sweet.
So his hand had to be glued on, and that was semi-successful. So we got that. We got the big whippy guy. There was a dwarf, but his axe broke, so that'll need to be. Yeah, here's the dwarf. I got goop all over his face, Randy.
Oh.
I imagine there's some people that are probably really into that. There you go. Take a look at that. That was in there for a second.
Oh, you get tangled in his beard.
Yeah, but so we'll just we'll work it. I try to work with it, but his axe broke off, so we're gonna have to do something with that. And this guy, yeah, his hand.
ass broke off.
Yeah,
that's hardcore.
Usually you break something off in the ass, right? Like I'm gonna break my foot off in your ass. There you go, Randy. Take a look at this guy.
Nice. That's cool.
So we got him. Let's see here. We've got this big knight guy here. I thought that he was going to be big enough that I could use the goop on, but I did not find that to be true in actuality. Let me see here. Yeah. So we got him. There is a couple other pieces in here. There's a really cool. Here's a Reaper guy. And also there's a prisoner here, and what else do we got over here? Oh, also I think with one of the add-ons they gave you some alternate weapons.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, these are neat. So I mean, these might just be nice for kit bashing. And oh, this looks like it's for the. Man, I don't even know who that would be for. I'll have to be mindful. This is for that big guy. Him. It's an alternate sword you could use for him. So those are cool. I don't know if I can.
Sorry, I'm still seeing if there's a way to pop out the Twitch chat. It looks like there's supposed to be.
Okay. Oh, and then Randy, this one is super dope. Okay, I'm not certain exactly how this works, but check out this wraith. So I did goop these two parts successfully last night. So it's got this base here, right? That's all like bone and spirit. And like, let's see here if you can.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this wraith,
That's
it's got footholes to where it looks like you put him in there, and then that's his hand. You see? So that part there is his hand. So that's a place that it joins. So I need to use the super glue for that. And then also, like, there's 2 holes. There's pegs in his feet. So he mounts on this, but I don't know. It's the way that it dried. It doesn't exactly fit quite precisely. So again, I think super glue will be hopefully a better way to go. But I'm horrible with super glue, and I'm really kind of dreading it. So I might need your help. You might have to walk me through it, Randy. Might have to talk me down the ledge. There was one more.
We gotta stop huffing it long enough to actually apply it.
What's that? Sorry. Oh, that's good stuff. Check out this highly stylized mummy. He's pretty groovy. Yeah, I just love that these were just kind of non-conventional and have a lot of character.
Crazy looking.
Yeah. And then one more. This is like a zombie. Oh, zombie dude. Oh. All right. So let's. And then Randy, just to also bring up. I showed a picture when I was at the guard tower of about another one of these unpainted ones, right? And I showed one of the guys. I think he might be one of the owners or managers there, and I was showing him. He's like, that's really cool. And they mentioned that they have those cases there, and he said I can put something up in the case.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. And it's neat because I mean I've been going to that place since like as a kid, and I can remember looking at miniatures in there, because for a long time it was really heavy, and it still is, and like wargaming miniatures, right? And so they'd have these really detailed, wargaming miniatures, and I was like, man, I could never do anything like that. I just don't even understand. And so that was really neat. Yeah, it was a fine moment.
It's really cool.
So we got that, and then also we got our dragon. I showed him the beholders that we were working on too, so we got our dragon. And I think after spending some more time pondering him, I think what he really needs is some black wash, a black wash that's brushed off, so it just really gets in the crevices and adds some depth to the scales. Because I'm feeling right now he's just a little flat, and he's shiny, and I'm keep trying to put highlights on him, but I'm losing, I think, depth. So I think that's what's going to happen with him. So we got him. We got to revisit Cthulhu. We've got these guys. I think we're going to do a little Cyro acrylate CA glue. What's that stand for, Randy? Cyano.
Isn't that like the chemical name for super glue?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the words are. I'm not handling the words well.
I don't know.
Computer. What is CA glue?
According to an Amazon customer, cyanoacrylate glue, or CA for short, is commonly known by trade names such as super glue and crazy glue. It is an extremely strong and fast-setting adhesive available in 3 viscosities: thin, medium, and thick. Ooh. Did that answer your question?
It did, and it also got me a little excited, I think. I didn't know that there was the thick. No one's told me about that. I will say that
feedback.
Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. Yeah. So I don't even remember what she said. I can never pronounce that word. Cyrano. There's an R in there, right? I need to read it. So a bottle ball. If I find it.
Acrylate is the second word.
Acrylate.
Cyano. Acrylate.
Acrylates. That's like when you become a religious follower of somebody, you become an acolyte. No,
So
that's not it at
yeah,
all.
no. So it's the color, like cyan, cyan. Oh, acrylate.
So
That's how you remember.
tell me that again. The first word I need the
It's
first...
like the color, the blue color, cyan.
Cyan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cyan. Oh, acrylate. Cyanoacrylate.
Cyan. Oh, acrylate. Cyan. Oh, acrylate. I think cyan. Oh, I left it upstairs. Oh man, I'm gonna have to take the quick sub ride, Randy. Are you? Would you maybe do me a favor while we're doing this?
Okay.
And you were mentioning earlier today. We don't want to make today a heavy, necessarily Corona virus chat, but you did mention some strong points. You've been talking a lot about donating blood, and maybe would you mind talking about that while I go get some glue?
Yeah, they still got the. They've got an extreme need for blood donations right now before all the problems with the coronavirus started. So I was planning on going and doing a power red, a double red blood cell donation. And I'm going to try to do that today. I recommend that if anybody is out there who is eligible to donate, that they do so. Like I said, there's an extreme need for it, and it apparently only 3% of the population that can donate actually does donate. So, imagine if you're having to go to the hospital, or someone you loved was having to go to the hospital for any reason and needed blood, and it wasn't available because somebody didn't donate. And if you were in that situation, you would demand, like, how could they not have this blood? And it's just because people aren't donating. So, and it's a little tricky right now, maybe. It's a little worrisome with the coronavirus out there, like maybe anxiety ridden about, you're going and having your blood drawn by people that are in the healthcare field, and there might be some worry about them having a higher, being a higher likelihood of being in contact with something like that. But I don't know. What are you going to do? They're going to need blood more, and there's going to be less people donating right now, even than usual, because of the fear of the coronavirus and stuff. So it's going to be even more of a need. So I'm definitely going to go today and get that done if I can. Sometimes there's only certain windows that you can get in for things like the power red donations and the platelet donations, since they use special machines for that most of the time. But I encourage anybody that if they are able, that they do go and donate if they can, because it is certainly needed. Some other things that are interestingly popping up about the coronavirus are all the things that are being canceled, all the conventions and things. And JB and I were just talking the other day about the possibility of places having conventions within a VR setting. And it looks like I just heard something that I think it was Rift is either did, I think they already did, had a VR convention.
And I think I'm back,
within
Randy.
a VR setting.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
I was unable to locate that, unfortunately. But we will move on. I caught the tail end of what you were talking about, the VR conference, and also I think for some reason HTC Vive was also coming to mind, so they might have been also doing it as well.
Within the same video that I saw, it talked about HTC and also talked about the Oculus Quest, I believe. But I don't know if it mentioned anything about them doing that as well. They were just in the same video that they discussed this, I think.
Okay.
For the one that I saw.
You know what? I think I might have watched the same video, so yeah, I could have been mixing those together for certain.
What was interesting is they were talking about with the Quest, which that's the one you have, right? Is the Quest?
Quest, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
Oculus Quest.
Oculus one.
Pretty sure that's the one they were talking about, where the researchers figured out a way to like optimize their processor, I guess, to get like 69% more efficiency out of it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it looks like that's just, there's no plans to bring that into
Consumer
the
grade.
real world right now. It's just research at the moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's using algorithms. They actually use a lower resolution, but then use algorithms to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's some really interesting things that can happen with that. Because if you think about one of the things with the one of the games that, I've been playing that Jedi Ginger that game, and I'm allowed to say that because I am one.
People are going to look for
Jedi Ginger
for a game called Jedi Ginger.
It's Jedi Fallen Order, I believe is what I think it's called. And Jedi Ginger, and it's what I've enjoyed about it is I've never played a game. I've played games that are similar to this in content. It's very much like an Assassin's Creed. There's probably a name for this style of you go, you find a tower, it reveals quests and places in that area. There's a main quest, there's side quests, you complete that, you keep going. It's like the Assassin's Creed, Batman model kind of thing. And so it's like that, but visually, I've never played a game that used such up-down like volume, right? So like you'll be in the bottom of like some caverns, and you can just see up so far. And I don't know why that has been, if it's been a conscious choice of game designers or just a limitation of rendering, but it does this really good job of letting you give the illusion of very far render distance, right? And that's like there's a real trick to that, of like things that are far away are blurry, but as they get closer they get crisper, right? I mean, that's ever since probably the days of EQ, EverQuest, and WoW, right? That they've been trying to figure that out. But I guess, and this is kind of what I was taking from it, and I'm curious if this is what you were getting as well from what they were saying, like with these algorithms, it's like basically if it's kind of can anticipate where you're going to be, right? And where you're going to look. And I think that that's where it's starting to apply some of those efficiencies. Is that what you also got from that? Or maybe
I'm not sure if that was the same one talking about there was another one that was talking more about algorithms in depth, I think. And I don't remember if I watched that exactly. Plus, I was falling asleep doing some of the stuff I was watching too, so to keep rewinding some of it.
All right.
But I think that is one application for it that they're using. But the other, I think, was just like I said, using the lower resolution and using the algorithms to fill in the gaps there specifically.
Now, and do you think that they're using then the machine learning as like an upscale? So they're using it more as an upscale.
Yeah, it mentioned
sort of thing?
It mentioned upscaling.
Okay, I got you.
So that's what those algorithms were. It was basically just upscaling.
I think
when you take I guess it's used prevalently with with YouTube videos and stuff, when people post YouTube videos. That if I think there's a potential for uploading it at a lower resolution, and then the algorithm can upscale it.
Okay.
I imagine that's the same thing that happens with, or something similar at least, when with like DVD upscaling. If you watch that on some, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impressive. Like, you look at a 4K TV and you watch something that's on Blu-ray and it still looks pretty damn good. And, even DVDs and things like that, it's pretty kind of impressive. You can tell the difference. I was watching some of the Altered Carbon. I'm starting watching the first season again because it's you can watch it in 4K. And so the first time I watched it, it was not 4K. So I was like, ooh, yeah, let me check that out. And so
it does. It is Anthony Mackie. It looks like now is the. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same guy. It looks like maybe it is, even though the story.
I saw an interview with him. Yeah, so he's still Takeshi, I think, or whatever, Kovacs or whoever. He's still that guy.
That makes me sad. I like the original guy.
Yeah. So I just started watching that. But one of the things also, like what I was talking about, Randy, is like with streaming, it was one of the things that they were doing. It's like to increase the appearance of smoother streaming or things like that. Like if you pulled up the thumbnail for it in the background, it would already start to like load it so that, you know, it gave you a head start on it. And so there's things like that where, you know, you can, and if, you know, if the machine learning is anticipating, you know, areas that you're going to go, then it can kind of pre-buffer those. And it is really neat right now what they can do, like to create, you know, like seamless zoneless zones, right? You know, they got these zones, but they feel zoneless. That was the thing in EverQuest was, was that, you know, when you went from an area to an area, you actually, there was a literal zone where it had to load. And you used it to your advantage if you were trying to outrun monsters, right? You could just zone them. But it could also be considered bad etiquette because you'd be pulling trains. They called them pulling trains to the zone. And so you'd see her shouting in OOC, you know, pulling train to Butcher Block, Dock, be warned or whatever.
Isn't there a term for dropping a train on somebody like that?
I'm sure there is.
Forget.
Don't look for it on the internet. That would be my recommendation. All right. So, yeah. All right.
Or you would kite the mob.
Kiting,
then you get a train going, but then you could potentially drop the different ways, like if you had to log out or zone, drop it on somebody.
Yeah, you may find it hard to believe, but my brother Parf
would never do that.
Who was yeah, I think he had hotkeys set up with like ASCII graphics of a train, and it said choo choo choo. What a wonderful person. Lovely. Okay, so I can't find that one stuff, but I do have a pack of other.
I'm getting conflicting answers on the Twitch pop-out chat. Some are like, yeah, it's right there. You just do this. And that option isn't showing for me. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's clearly right there.
That sounds very much internet.
Yeah. Other people are saying that you have to like open another window and put in a specific HTTP address. I don't know. I'll try that, I guess.
All right. So this is we got OG super glue in the house. So that might even be worth it, just to pay our respects.
The original
originator non greater.
The original glue.
It says the original super glue. OG. OGSG. Man, this pack is no joke.
The what?
Trying to get this pack open is bonds instantly. Well, Randy, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a bit flummoxed by this.
What?
Well, let me pull back and see. I've got other ways and or means.
Okay, looks like I may have it, but it doesn't show the old text. It only shows where I've just opened it. Let me get caught up on the other window. Sorry, JC, I was trying to figure that out. I didn't see what you were typing there, buddy. JC said once you figure out how to set up the $5 subscription, he can use his Amazon Prime to subscribe.
What's that?
Once you figure out how to set up the $5 subscription, he can use his Amazon Prime to subscribe.
Awesome. Yeah, Twitch actually does a really, really good job comparatively to YouTube. And there's two tiers. There's like affiliate and there's partner, I think. I think affiliate's the first one. And there's 4 things that you have to do to be able to get to the affiliate to where people can start to put that stuff towards you. So we are working towards that. I appreciate that. That's awesome. But yeah, people, if they have Prime, Randy, you get one free subscription that you can donate to people a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So a lot of people, a lot of streamers that I've watched previously, they try to encourage people to do that because Twitch is owned by Amazon. I don't know if you were aware of that.
I just found that out. I just watched the video about Amazon last night.
But yeah, so we are working to that. And it's like you have to have I think an average of 3 viewers. You have to have streamed on seven different days. I think you have to have 50 subscribers or just a couple different things. And also it gives you a really good summary of your stream, and you get a weekly summary, and I think it's a daily summary. So it's pretty nice.
Oh, he had to sign off. He had to leave.
Oh.
Sorry, buddy. I'm still trying to get caught up on his chat.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you got to play Dark Souls. They build their levels that fold onto themselves, and you often can see areas from far away that you'll visit soon. Oh, I see. That's cool. You've got these 2 different monitors have different resolutions, so trying to put the chats over here isn't working too well.
Yeah.
Because they're huge.
And you can also resize those windows using just I think it's Control Plus and Control Minus. So if you do that, you can it'll zoom in or zoom out, and that might make it more conducive. All right, so I got these temporary.
I was trying that with the chat windows, and it wasn't doing anything for some reason.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's working on this one.
Okay.
Well, it helps a bit. But...
I'm about ready to get going. All right, Randy, I do have. I want to discuss our complete our titular moment.
Uh-huh.
As I just superglued myself already.
Oh, you know why? Because that's a browser window, and this is not a browser window. The YouTube chat is just popped out YouTube chat. It's not.
Gotcha.
One of the normal.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. It does.
Yeah.
I want to do. I got a little piece of cardboard here, and we can do. And if we change this over here.
All right.
Give us a little bit of light over this area. Okay. So, Randy, the topic that I wish to talk to you when you are ready to engage in semi-meaningful conversation.
Go for it.
Is, and with some of these pieces, just to talk about, I'll dry fit them and then try to glue them together, and there will invariably be a lot of cursing as I probably super glue my fingers together and drop pieces on the floor and I'm unable to find them, and so on and so forth.
So you're telling me you're going to try to dry mount those pieces?
Oh yeah, little grindy grind, a little old school grindy grind.
Interesting.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind,
To
Randy.
each their own, I guess. as long as they consent.
Yeah. No, we were all about that. But you know who wasn't about consent? The Zodiac Killer. So I wanted to give you a little background about me and the Zodiac Killer. So I first became aware of the Zodiac Killer in the 90s. I saw a documentary, not unlike last night, where I couldn't sleep, right? And I watched this documentary in the 90s about the Zodiac Killer. And at that time, I'd never heard of him. And I'm like, how could I never heard about this guy? He was it came from a movie, right? He taunted the San Francisco police with letters and sent them postcards, and there were cryptograms, and and then it was it went unsolved. It's currently regarded by, I think, the San Francisco police as unsolved, or at least that is their public opinion about it. So there was also there was a movie that Robert Downey, I think, was in it. Called Zodiac. I think Gyllenhaal may have also been in it in that movie. And I saw that probably like 10 years later and kind of rekindled this, and I've heard it on different things, and it's just a really bizarre. And there was a guy who they thought there was a really strong suspect who died, and he went to his grave saying, "I was not the Zodiac killer." And but supposedly he said he knew who the person was, and that's kind of why I guess he was such a strong suspect, because there was a couple of things that he knew or something like that. But I think he said that he was put into the same. He shared a hospital with a state hospital with the guy who he said was. So there's a documentary on FX, a 4-part documentary called "The Deadliest Man Alive," and or "Deadliest Animal Alive," something like that. I believe it is "The Deadliest Animal Alive."
What is it?
The Deadliest Animal. It might just be called "The Deadliest Animal."
I mean, what are you talking about?
And so this is a documentary that's on FX now.
Okay.
And it has to do with this guy who was adopted, right? At the age of like 3 months, and he's trying to find his identity. And hashtag, there will be spoilers on all of this. I couldn't sleep last night, so I ended up watching the 4-part documentary about the Zodiac. This guy who was trying to find his identity of his father, and thinks that his father was actually the Zodiac killer. And that sounds pretty fantastical. But whether that is
the most dangerous animal of all.
The most dangerous animal of all.
Looks like.
Yes, thank you. The most dangerous. And that was...
depicts how a man's quest for his birth, blah, blah, blah. Book of the same name.
Yeah, there was a book about a guy who hunted humans that it's taken from. And it was a quote that he had used in some of his correspondence. So whether or not this guy who wrote a book of that same name that was in 2014, that was ended up becoming a bestseller, was released by HarperCollins, and this FX series takes a further examination of it, heavily working with that guy, but also offers counterpoints as well. But whether or not the Zodiac killer was or was not this guy's father, it's the struggle that this man has and trying to deal with it is interesting. But even beyond that, the actual things that is 100% known about his father is really crazy. And there's just really odd coincidences. So this man isn't like a total nut job for potentially thinking that his father could be the Zodiac killer. And so I'll leave that for people who wish to watch this, that you can take a look at some of that information. Because it's crazy. It's bizarre. And the guy, his father is dead at this point. So he was buried in an unmarked grave in Mexico, and blah blah blah. And the thing that I want to talk about, though, Randy, with this is that I was really disappointed in FX and how they handled this documentary, because it's 4-part series, right? And it deals with this guy and this book and this guy's claims. And apparently that when they first started to work with this guy, they took it in good faith about what they regarded his story. And they said, that they would do their own follow-ups. And during the course of it, they found some things that he had in his book that they didn't feel jived. And so he had a co-author of the book who kind of did the historical fiction-y part, right? Taking the events and making them a true crime-y kind of sort of scenario thingy, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
And super glue. This is what I hate super glue. It's like they make it act like it dries in like 3 seconds and it doesn't. And I know they have this zap kicker, which I have, that you can use, but I don't want it to set instantly. I want it to set in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. This says it's set in 15 seconds. It's not setting in 15 seconds. Lies.
You think you're using too much?
Is that a thing? Alright. What you can do with this. Yeah, because it's like this is why I never like to use super glue. I'm just maybe, Randy, it might have worked. So he had this co-author, and she was like kind of, would take the information you have and kind of, recreate it to make an interesting story, right? And all the facts, were things that, supposedly were facts and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of this documentary, they confront her with some things that it looks like that what he had told her were falsified or changed or some things, and she felt really left in the wind, and she ends up confronting one of the police officers about some things that regarding DNA testing, because they're able to, because of postage stamps, they have a partial DNA profile of the Zodiac killer. And this guy says that he's given them DNA and that they told him that his father could not be excluded from the search. And that's a pretty particular set of language that's usually used in DNA. But when she confronted him, said, "No, that's not what I meant." Said that
I watched something recently that said that DNA testing isn't what most people think it is. Like, it's not nearly as good as they make it look like in like detective dramas and stuff like that. So I mean, and one of them was talking about specifically about where you try to get your nationality, your ancestry and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, like 23andMe and stuff like that.
Like, people think that, oh, this is it. Like, this means like this is real. This is right down. This is exact brass tack, whatever. But if you go back and you look at the websites and stuff, they'll say like these results are based on like a 50 percentile of accuracy. And so if you want to make it like take it up to 99%, then it'll just say like, yeah, your like ancestors came from somewhere on this side of the globe. So but it improves more and more, I think, with as they get more and more data and more people contribute and stuff like that. But
that's funny.
A lot of that stuff does say it's like
entertainment purposes. Yeah, just like gambling sites.
So I wonder if that's part of the problem. Like, they're saying, well, yeah, he's a human. Like, it's a male's. We can tell it's a male's DNA.
Well, and he was saying that
he's probably Caucasian. We can tell, but yeah, so we can't rule him out.
Well, and so here's the thing. It's like the guy was like, yeah, I talked to him. Yeah, I told him that we couldn't rule out because we don't have enough information to rule out anybody.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. That's also assuming that the Zodiac killer didn't have somebody else look at the stamp for him.
That's true, yeah. Well, and they kind of talk about that because there's a thing that's supposed to be a handwriting match, and they have a few letters that they like a J in particular, like they overlay it, and it's just like, gosh darn it. And this dude's actual father, that they know was his father, he looks a lot like the sketches that they had from the eyewitnesses. And he said that if you crack the cipher, my name will be revealed, and he shows where he thinks that the name is in it. And so there's a lot of really fascinating stuff to this guy's story. And the thing was too is that, like, okay, so this guy's was put up for adoption, right? So his mom reaches out to him many years later, right? Just to say, hey, I just hope you're okay, and blah blah blah. So he, ends up, kind of forming a relationship with her, and he's trying to find out about his dad. And she's like, I don't remember him, blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
And come to find out that it was a very heavily publicized story about her and this guy who, she was 14 and he was 27, and that they called it the ice cream caper. It was published in the paper, the San Francisco paper, and that she was leaving home, and he kept like getting her to like leave the juvies home and stuff, and kept getting put into prison and stuff, and had spent jail time. Well, during one of those, she'd gotten pregnant, and she reported that her father would, while she was out doing stuff, he would leave the baby in a footlocker because he was tired of hearing it scream.
Nice.
And so he demanded that she get rid of the baby, and so he took it to New Orleans and left it in an apartment, front of an apartment.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is verified, right? And so he says that he thinks that the San Francisco Police Department is covering up that because he says that he thinks that they actually do know that it was him and all this stuff, but it'll make them look so stupid that they're not willing to do it. Because, all right, so this is part that is really bizarre. His mom, the runaway from the paper, right? Mm-hmm. She eventually marries a police officer in the San Francisco Police Department who works on the Zodiac case.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird.
And that's all verified. That's all part that there's nobody is debating that. And so there's the thing is, like, what that makes me mad about this FX depiction of this, and I cannot get that hand in this stick, was that they, like, during the course of events, that they start finding out that maybe some of his things don't jive. And it's like they didn't tell him that until they'd already shot everything. So they didn't reveal to him about that they were going to have to spin this documentary a different way than they originally had kind of done it. I mean, they had always said that we're going to have to do our own fact finding and things like that. Mm-hmm. And, but it wasn't until it's not until it's 4 episodes, and it's not until like the last 30 minutes do they give you really any sense of like we're going to rat fuck this dude. And it's like here we're like making it out like this guy makes sense, and he's done this stuff, and here's the due diligence, and this is the stuff, and they had an analyst and blah blah blah, and they're putting it on, and then it's just like, oh, but, and then they turn his co-author against him, and because they supposedly this one private investigator that they had says that this guy was in Europe. I don't know that they have any proof that he was in Europe, other than somebody said that he was in Europe during this time. So if he was in Europe, he couldn't be in America doing these things. Uh-huh. which, okay, but if you're claiming all this other evidence is circumstantial, I don't know how you can't claim that evidence isn't circumstantial. One person who's it has to do with his family. That's, I guess he had another family, and they ended up moving to Australia. But those people don't want to talk to this guy, and as he's tried to get information from them, and it could be just because he's pestering them, and so on and so forth. But who knows what? I mean, this guy was a monster, no matter what, whether he was a Zodiac killer or not.
Yeah.
And so who knows what they would have said or not said. So it's really bizarre. And it was just like,
shitstorm.
Yeah. And so it was like, they were like, they just kind of like say, well, this is just what we took this as is, it's just interesting. This man's journey to find his father. And, is it that it's a person's need that his father who abandoned him, that he'll never be able to meet, that he needs him to be one of the biggest monsters in the world? Is that's what's happening here? And that's kind of like at the end of the thing, they show him in his church and they play the music that like is like, we don't trust you, and maybe you're a con man, and that this has all been a manipulation. And it just felt really disingenuous. And that's the part that upset me with it. And I don't have a problem that you want to present this view, but they were just really underhanded about it and not wanting to let you know that until the very end. And, you could have said, hey, this is this guy's story. And it's like, but you're so heavy leaning on, man, what's the part that, why haven't we said we've solved the Zodiac killer? And so the other thing that's really weird about this is with this guy. So the San Francisco, it was like, so you have his DNA sample, yes. And you're not convinced that this case is solved? No. Okay, so you're not saying whether or not the profile matches or doesn't match. That's not they didn't say that. And so why can't you just tell us that, yes or no? Right? Why can't you just tell us, yes, his swab does or does not match? And why you're not saying that adds more credence, I think, to his potential crackpot theory than otherwise. So does that make sense?
Yeah, but yeah, like I said with the D&D evidence, there
they talk a lot about.
It could be broad enough that they can't. There could be multiple reasons why they wouldn't be able to discuss it, and the most simplest of that would be that it could just be so vague that. They can't rule it out, but they can't say it is, they can't say it isn't. Then
they go into details about this that there's 27 markers out of the 9 markers that are relevant. There's only a partial match. There's only 5 of those markers. They go into details about the marker that he thinks they show a thing and they're like, oh, these are the markers. And when they showed it, they blurred out numbers. But they're saying that, well, those numbers, because you could still read the numbers, they're saying those numbers weren't the real numbers. We told them to do fake numbers. And so those are actually fake numbers. So even the blurred numbers were fake numbers. Okay, here you can see in my notes that actually show that.
It does sound like plus the whole thing is like a documentary that is made for entertainment purposes in a way.
Yeah, but it's
the same thing that I have with the History Channel that actually used to play real history, now playing stuff like Ancient Aliens and saying that we don't know how we have no idea how the pyramids were built, and we don't know who built them, and like the stones that they were built from came from 500 miles away and all this. And like, no, we do know now. Like, we have proven many ways over that it is totally possible for humans to have done this. And now we've discovered that there is a town of the builders with artifacts and records that is at the base of the pyramids of people that lived there while they were building them. Yet there's still quote unquote documentaries out there that say that it must be aliens that did this. Aliens. And they're this is on like the History Channel.
Yeah.
And it's being shown as a documentary.
Yeah. No, and this was I mean, the thing too was like when I read this stuff, they're like at the very end they show that this guy has a vanity plate that is that the guy who he thinks, his father, who he thinks was a serial killer, it has his name, Van Best, and that's his license plate. And they're like, one of the producers was like, I didn't get that, so we put it at the end. Because it's like, what does that mean? So you don't ask him about the plate, you just put it on there? Because it's like, there could be a lot of reasons, but you throw it on there to make it like, it was very pointed. I don't know. It was really bizarre.
It sounds like he might have just been looking for attention, making it all up kind of.
But the thing is,
like he wants
his mom
true.
is in this documentary. His real mom.
Yeah.
His real mom is the 14-year-old. His father was the 27-year-old guy, right?
Yeah. His
mom was married to a police officer that worked on the Zodiac case. They did do, it's just like there's a lot of stuff. It's like just the stuff that is real is so bizarre around it that makes it just. It's just really bizarre. Yeah. It's super, super bizarre. His father was known to have had an apartment that was 2 blocks away from one of the killings. There's like, I don't know. It was really, it's like when they talk about like murder suspects, right? They talk about means, they talk about motive, they talk about, there's like 3 M's I think they talk about. And they didn't talk about it that way. It was, I don't know, it was real bizarre. It was really bizarre. And I guess it was just so bizarre the way that in the end that they just churned on this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really odd. Really, really, really odd. And so one of the things that supposedly, that guy says, who died, who was a long time suspect, said that I'm not him, but I did know who it was, and it was a guy who I spent time in Tuscarora State Penitentiary or State Hospital or something like that. And awesome. He claims that his father spent time in that hospital, but it looks like on some of the police records that he doctored, that's potentially something he doctored.
Mm-hmm.
And it would been really easy they said he doctored it, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't true, right? That he added that information, but I think he said he added that information because it was given to him. So it's just like, they don't do a really good job of just clearly stating yes or no. But then they say like, well, our job wasn't to prove whether or not his claims were true. We weren't trying to prove whether or not Van Best was the Zodiac killer. This is more about the story about this guy. But because you're letting him narrate the whole thing, that's where it's disingenuous. They pretty much let him, the guy, narrate pretty much the whole thing. So it's not like you're saying, hey, we're doing a documentary and we've come across this guy and this is his part of the story and this is her part of the story. And they do offer different people's perspectives, but by letting this guy narrate so much of it and by doing visual depictions of what his book states without preferencing it with anything, I felt really disingenuous. I felt that they were really disingenuous, and I felt I felt like that. I felt like it was they did a real disservice to the viewership because of that.
The thing is, well, yeah, they could have prefaced it with saying, these aren't our views, here's his views, make your own decision, and then we'll tell you at the end what we think.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a couple of things that was just like, why did she say that way? And it was just like, oh, because you're going to end up making it, because this is the part where you're making it that she actually believes him, but she at this point knows that she doesn't believe him, but you're not telling us that because you want to have a reveal at the end. And that's why it's just like, So it is a fascinating story. And I'm not certain that, I still don't think that this guy is a valid suspect. And like I said, it's just so bizarre that her mom, Okay, so then also the Zodiac killer
Mhm.
only targeted one person specifically in his taunts. Like generally, he would talk about the police, right?
Mhm.
But he did target one person in particular that he threatened, and that person was a reporter for one of the San Francisco papers, who was the person who wrote the story about his mom and his dad, about her being 14, about his dad being a pedophile. So the only person that he specifically called was the guy who had wrote the story in the paper about them.
Mhm.
A really weird set of circumstances, of coincidences, if these things are all coincidences, right? Really bizarre. Really, 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 really bizarre. So that's, I think, probably concludes my Zodiac killer portion of this conversation, Randy. But as a person who has probably 3 different times in my life have had moments where I couldn't sleep and ended up watching something related to the Zodiac killer, I kind of had to, share that with you, the kind of the whole picture there. So that is, as I say that. I did find the Zapagap medium. See, so we're going with a little medium here. This thing is so confusing. I have no clue on how this is supposed to work.
Don't you just? Well, it's supposed to make it set, right? So don't you just put it on it after?
No, this is actually glue. It's CA plus, so it's like, I think it's just supposed to set a little faster. But
okay.
it has this thing here, and I think I put this thing here. I've never seen such complicated.
I can't see what you're. Maybe are there instructions? Zapagap.
Protect work surfaces and use with adequate ventilation. Avoid contact with fabric and foam materials. Point bottle away from face and body while opening to open. Remove over cap and twist off reusable cap. Remove over cap and twist off All right, so this is the over cap, I'm assuming. And then this is the reusable precision piece there. And then I don't know about this, if this will go back on or not. So I think that has to come off and on. So if you want to use it, that precision or not. But all right. Well, like I said, Randy, I wasn't a huge fan of going this route, but here we are.
So it looks like what is it? Double check. Yeah, today is Alfred Hitchcock Day. That goes well with your story.
Yeah,
sort of,
kind of.
So,
do you have a favorite Hitchcock?
Oh wait. I know I used to watch that show. I was so young though. I don't remember much about it. I know I saw The Birds. I saw crap, I did a paper on it and I can't remember what it's called at the moment. You had mentioned it at one point recently.
I like Rear Window and Vertigo.
I think. Yeah, Vertigo I think is the one I wrote a paper on. So I've seen that one. I think it was a Vertigo. I don't think I ever saw Rear Window. Saw Birds. Was Psycho Hitchcock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen Psycho, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new one. I saw the original. I guess there was a series as well.
Yeah, there's a series it's called Bates Hotel, about him being young. I think there's a series called The Good Doctor, and it's got this young doctor guy. I think it's the same guy.
I can't think of his name right now.
Okay. I don't understand. I don't understand super glue, apparently, Randy. I'm like, use one drop. Join parts and hold 10 to 15 seconds or until set. You can use
temperature is kind of cool down here too. Temperature might affect it. Humidity possibly. You're probably just using more than you need. Why is this not listing his name?
Whose name?
The actor. They're listing everybody else's name. They're not listening to his name. Giving a whole detailed explanation about the plot. Here we go.
All right. I got some of those.
Freddie Highmore. Yeah. He was in Finding Neverland, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, August Rush, and the Spiderwick Chronicles. He actually played twins in the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Oh, that was him.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, so he was in the series. Was that there was a new movie too, wasn't there? Or am I thinking of the series?
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
I'm just
remember.
thinking
I
of
don't
the series.
remember the movie, but I do remember the series.
Okay, I may just be thinking of the series. Then.
All right.
It's weird. It's a weird little story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with it. I mean, I am.
Yeah.
I have been alive.
All right, trying to get this. There we go. It's that Alfred Hitchcock Presents theme.
Yes, that was it? Good evening. Is that what he used to say? They would show his profile, right?
Yeah.
Good evening,
Yeah.
and welcome to Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Tonight's tale is... He had such a fun personality. Such an unlikely kind of...
Character.
Yeah.
Oops.
All right, well, I am going to...
Did you have a mental health moment for today?
Yeah. Do I?
Are you sure?
I do. Sometimes you just gotta take your lumps and you gotta dust yourself up and keep going. I talked about our last mental health minute and about how Mr. Rogers was advising us about how we handled the unexpected, and within probably 5 minutes of that conversation, the dogs got sprayed with skunk, and I did not handle it well. I will admit, but I would like to bring up at this point that this was day 7 of flood recovery, and I just was worn a little too thin. And after having struggled with getting the stream going, that watching the event unfold as it did was just a little too much for me. So I had a little meltdown, but I'm not pleased about it, but I will accept it. I didn't, own it and use it as an opportunity to continue to improve. So, it's all a work in progress, right? And
Who had your back though, buddy?
you did, yeah. And
That's right.
I did appreciate that. I appreciate that you gave me a hand. And the same thing, with pulling up the carpet tiles. I appreciate that you were here and you made yourself extremely available. I greatly appreciate that. And I do take that as a positive from this. That it's just like, it's nice that when you see the people there trying to help you and and work with you, protect you, and show you love, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I just, then every day isn't winning. I guess. Yep. I guess that's kind of and that's okay, right? You learn more from mistakes than you do from successes.
Life isn't always about sunshine and rainbows. Life is life.
Life is life. Yep. That's
Shit
what I think I
happens.
posted on Facebook at some point during the flood that when life gives you lemons, make whiskey sours. So I think that's probably my
Unless
health.
you're an alcoholic and then make lemonade.
Sure, or that. I am going to try to see if I can glue one of the hands onto this fine gentleman. Although, let's take a look and see if maybe one of the alternate hands is what we actually want. Because I think we could use that or that. It looks like we can have... Where's his other hand? I need to find...
Oh. Where do you put his hands?
Here
Gotta
we
keep
go.
an eye on that one.
Yeah, you never...
He's so handsy.
So grabsy. Get so handsy. Hey, Dark Knight, no means no. Garçon means boy. All right. So, Randy here, as we are I'm working. Remind all the good people to like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. So we've got this axe here that he's wielding in his right hand. And we could have him just have this hand here minus the supports. It looks like. Or we have the option to... Oh, these are the other hands. So
JB.
that's a left hand. Yep, hold on one second, Randy. Left hand.
It's really important.
Okay.
What do you call an owl that does magic tricks?
Houdini.
No. Houdini. Houdini.
So that's a right hand. And is that a right hand? Okay, so we can only swap out if we want axe, a machete, or a hammer, warhammer. But I kind of like the axe that he's got. So I'm going to leave that be. Yep, I think we're just going to leave that be. Leave sleeping dogs lie. Randy, I am almost finished with The Witcher. I'll have to bring that up again on Tuesday. Maybe I can finish it by then. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I'm getting close to the end.
Nice.
There's something I want to say about it.
What's that?
But I don't know if I can.
Why is that?
There is...
Spoilers?
Yeah. The nature of Yennefer and the Witcher's relationship is intriguing based on the last episode that I saw. Because they both have doubts about... They both have legitimate reasons why they can doubt the sincerity of the other. And I think that's all I want to say about that. I may not be a smart man, Jenny, but I know what love is. Okay, so let me go back here to the Dark Knight here. We got the Dark Knight. We got him with an axe. What time is it? It's 1:22?
Yep. Dude, I'm looking at these puns, trying to find some good ones, and now I'm seeing why a lot of people hate puns. Because most of these are really just crap. Like, don't even make sense crap. Like, just so bad. Like, they didn't even try. They just wanted to say that they were making a pun, and it's so bad.
Yeah. Are you wanting to share this so we can?
No, because they're
They're that bad that you don't even want to.
Bad. Like, if it were bad, and like good bad, then I'd share it. But it's just not even worth it. Bad.
Yeah. It's like, I listened to a lot of comedians over the years talk on podcasts and things like that, and I enjoy them when they're like, when comedians are talking with other comedians, and they're like, other people, right? Like, they don't get it, do they? They don't. Other people think they're so funny. It's like, what is it about non-funny people that think they're so funny? And you do see that, like, some people can be so oblivious to the fact that they're not funny, and it does not prevent them from trying.
Okay, I found some decent ones. That's fun. Oh, okay. So stupid. Right. The past, the present, and the future walk into a bar. It was tense. Stupid.
Randy, that was like camping outdoors. Intense.
Oh man, that's pretty bad. When Adam loses an electron, it says, "Man, I really got to keep an eye on them." That's bad.
There's some other one where.
Say what?
There's some other one that it seemed like we talked about recently about like electron joke or something. I think it worked.
Yay!
All right, I'm just skipping that goblin's hand for some reason. He's got some sort of curse that will not allow. I don't know, man. He's like made out of Teflon or something.
They have like oil on him or something. Maybe you need to clean the piece with some rubbing alcohol first or something.
You know,
rough it up a bit.
Yeah.
Smack it around.
Smack it up, flip it, rub it down,
reverse it. Did you hear about the man who was accidentally buried alive? It was a grave mistake. "6:30 is the best time on a clock, hands down."
Did you say 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30 is the best time on a clock, hands down.
Talking about one of them 3:45 asses.
I gotta watch that again. That was funny.
What was that? Booty and the Beast? I think. Wasn't that? It was a Saturday Night Live skit?
Yeah, Saturday Night Live.
Had the guy
with,
from 300.
Gerald Butler as the Beast. I hate how funerals are always at 9 a.m. I'm not really a morning person.
Oh. Wow, that's deep.
That one is.
I like that one.
All right, those were pretty good. I like those. So I played some more of my my VR stuff, my PlayStation VRs. Sold some of the demo discs that they have. They have demo discs 1, 2, and 3. I downloaded them for free off of PlayStation Network. They have a lot of. I thought it was just like 6 games each, which I thought was pretty cool, but one of them at least has a lot more than that.
Oh wow.
It's some of them were like interesting, but kind of crazy, like seemed a bit outdated, and it was kind of confusing and stuff. But
there's a lot.
Others were really cool.
It seems like, and this is what I've been finding I'm curious if you're seeing this as well, right? That like a lot of the stuff that's out there right now is old VR stuff, and that we're
Well,
right
plus I'm getting
now.
stuff for free too, so
Right? Yeah.
of
True. That
course
makes
it's going to
sense.
be older stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you on that.
Like this one was the first demo disc, so like it's kind of annoying but I think it's because they're old. So I think that some of them may have been created originally before the Move controllers, possibly. So you have to start with the regular controller,
Okay.
and then you may or may not be able to use the Move controllers with some of the games. And then maybe you'd only use one as opposed to both of them.
Yep.
But they were cool. There was a couple different instances. There was a puzzle game I played that I can't think what it's called right now, but you stack. It starts out with you stacking blocks, and it has a really cool interaction with a bot, like a little android AI flying robot thing that flies around. Not an android, but it's like a sphere robot that hovers, and he's leading you through the tutorial.
Okay.
And it's like they're testing your intelligence to see if you're a sentient being. It's really cool. I think you'd appreciate it a lot. It's real funny. But it looks like it was just like the whole point of it was just to stack these blocks to see how high you can get. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, this is looking kind of cool. The interaction's pretty cool. That's funny. But is this it? And then I clicked on finish that one and went to the next level, and it was totally different. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I did that one and went to the next one, and it was totally different. And the next one after that was totally different. And it like the dynamic was totally different. Like it was a totally different thing. It wasn't just stacking blocks. It was a totally different type of puzzle and a different dynamic.
What's this called?
I gotta look. I can never remember. It's on the PlayStation VR Demo Disc 1. Let's see if I can just pull it up with that. It's like Stack 'em or something, or Tilt, or let's see. Tumble VR.
Remember that there was a game,
but it's not all about tumbling stuff.
There was a game that we played briefly on the Wii. That was blocks.
Yeah, it was a cooperative. Well, you didn't have to.
You
play
could cooperate on it. Yeah,
it was fun as cooperative.
Yeah, and it occurred to me that would be a game that could potentially be ported to VR.
I think that was kind of like a Jenga situation.
Yeah, but I mean, we only played it a little bit, and it had a lot of options, as I recalled. You know, there was all kinds of different modes, and you know.
Yeah, totally.
It was, but it seemed like that could be something that could be fun, or something like that.
One of the puzzles in Tumble was like the fourth one, I think. Used like lasers and mirrors and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And different colored lenses to affect the laser.
Oh, nice.
With different targets that accepted only.
That sounded like colors. It was right up your alley.
And it was like, yeah, that's totally. It was. These were elements that I had previously discussed wanting to add into a D&D session.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really cool. And there was another one that, in certain ways, was really cool. In that, it was kind of an immersive board game where you had there was a landscape that was laid out in front of you, and you controlled characters by, like, if you put your virtual hand over them, an icon would show up above them, and you grab that with your virtual hand, and you can move them anywhere on the board within their range. And then if you hit a button, then they can cast a spell, or they automatically attack any enemies that are near them. You can click on trees that are near them and have them mine those for crystals that they can use then to build like defenses and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of like a tower capture / defend situation, but it has like a role-playing sort of element in that there's spell casting or you can upgrade your characters to have additional minions and stuff, and that can be like, you know, melee or casters or archers.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was cool that you could drag the map around to like closer to you, farther away, not tilt it, but rotate it so you get a different view. Move it up and down so it was more convenient for you to like look over it and move your characters around and stuff.
I want to see like virtual large scale board games.
I mean, that's
is that kind of because it's
it's a
so
virtual board
this
game, but it was. I mean, it wasn't live scale. Like the characters are live scale.
No, large scale.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was larger than it would be playing a board game in real life.
Right. That sounds really cool.
The characters would have been like the size of your hand, probably, I'd say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think. If it were in real life. I got the feeling that it was kind of older, that the resolution wasn't quite there, but I still haven't done all of the calibrations on my setup, so gotcha. I did put my tracking camera up on top of my TV, and angled it down toward me, and that seems to have improved that situation, some of the problems I was having there. And I need to look and see if there's a way. I know some games have it, but I don't think all of them do, where you can adjust the floor height. And they need to all have that option, I feel. Because if you're playing like I'm playing on my bed, and I'm laying down sitting on my bed, sometimes it expects you to be standing. So the ground is further, like the ground would be through my bed. So you have to do some adjusting to try to get that to work. And some games it won't work in that situation. You'd need to be standing. But if you could adjust, like on the fly, adjust the floor height, then that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I appreciated that in the table tennis game, that I was able to adjust it so I could actually raise the table tennis, because I'm 6'4", so table tennis actually is lower than I would prefer it to be. So I was like, ooh, what happens if I raise the table tennis like a foot? Because that's what I want. I want everything to be about a foot higher than it actually is.
Yeah.
And it was like, ooh, I like this, but it's like, I probably can't do this, because then if I ever want to play table tennis on a real table tennis, I won't be able to. It'll totally screw me up.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to put some stuff away in the space so that I can free up my space for the VR that I cleared for VR. It ended up becoming the reservoir for.
It would be nice to have a very large, totally clear room to be able to fully experience movement without constraint.
Yeah, and then you can actually, I guess you can turn off the borders, right? If you go into developer mode, you can turn off those borders, like if you have a room that is so big that you know that you're not going to have a real danger of it. And
well, if it's big enough, you won't have to worry about it.
Well,
like,
that's true too.
Like have them in case you get so crazy that you'd run into the wall. But
yeah,
if it's big enough, then you could still have it there and never see it if you don't get so crazy that you run into a wall.
I think we're having some success over here, Randy. We've got the cape for the wizard. I'm going to leave that off until I'll paint that separate. I've got an axe head here to give to the dwarf. We've got this goblin guy who we will revisit.
What's he goblin?
He's not knobs. I don't know. But he's still got to get a hand.
I wonder if that's where they were really going when they created a hobgoblin, the knobgoblin.
I don't know. It's funny. I got a hobgoblin yesterday. True story. Oh, here's the dwarf. All right, so we've got the dwarf guy. I feel like I'm missing something or somebody. Oh yeah, there is. There's an elf, a really highfalutin elf, and Oh yeah, here we go. A little Conan-y kind of guy. So he's got to get.
Oh, I played the Spider-Man Far From Home VR experience.
Oh yeah,
That was pretty cool.
really?
It's really short.
Yeah.
It's just an experience. It's not a full game.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I started playing it standing up at first, and then when you first go to use your webs and sling around and stuff, I fell over. It was so crazy.
I can imagine.
It was such a weird feeling. It was really cool.
I think that there's a game, and I don't know if it's out yet or it's coming out, that reminds me of the Zero G battles for Ender's Game. And
which are so much more epic in the book than they are in the movie.
Yeah, the movie did not do any justice to. They should have just focused on just those battles. Make the whole movies just about those battles would have been better. Yeah, that was very disappointing. However, yeah, and I'm referring to like more like the books. It seemed like, but I wasn't 100%. But I also saw that on Steam that there's a game that's Quidditch, but it's not Quidditch. It's called like Broom Soccer, and it's got good reviews. And it's like that's funny. It's like because you can upgrade your broom and you cast spells and things like that. It's like I can see where that would be a lot of fun. And it's like I wonder, VR, how's that going to be? And then also with the PlayStation, one of the exclusives that they get is the you get the Iron Man game, which looks like it'll be really cool.
You get that with what?
PlayStation is the only one who's going to have the Iron Man game, I think.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you were saying you get it with something when you buy something else.
I think that's an exclusive to the PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm hoping it goes on sale pretty quick.
Yeah. All right, let me try fit here. Let's see here. All right.
I played the Doom VFR a bit more.
Okay.
I'm still stuck at the same point, just trying different stuff.
I
keep forgetting that I have grenades. I'm like, I can use grenades.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to use my grenades again. God damn it. Unless I end up accidentally arming it and dropping it at my own feet. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah, I would have such a hard time moving, I think, and that's the problem that we're having right now. It's the movement, right? There's a lot of good things that we can do once we can, I think, get this movement down to where.
Yeah, it takes the way that they did it with the Doom VFR. It takes a lot of getting used to. At least for me, it takes a lot of getting used to. It's so frustrating at first that you can't just turn from side to side. Like you've only got this, which I still have to look into that more because I swear the first time I played it I could do it, but I was probably having some crossovers with another game that I played. That you can like strafe right or left, and then sprint forward and back with different buttons, and then turn 180. You can't just turn easily from side to side at all. It has to be a quick.
There was one of those.
So you keep running this situation like I'm facing the wrong way.
Yeah,
like,
I noticed that.
180, then that's still not where I need to be looking, and it gets a little disorienting and frustrating that way. But
yeah, a lot of these experiences like that I've gotten into so far, yeah, it's like they have a real problem with that. It's like I don't want to hit the joystick and you rotate me 90 degrees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing with the
teleport there and then rotate, and it's just like it's just awkward. It's really, really awkward.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the Move controllers. They don't have a joystick. They don't have any sort of touch movement. Like there's no touch pad movement. There's no joystick, and I was really craving that.
Yeah,
because the PlayStation, the normal PlayStation controllers have joysticks.
Sure. Yeah.
Well. Say that now, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doubting myself. Wait, did that joystick? But they have touch movement regardless of whether it's a joystick.
They don't, right? Because it's just the.
I
think it's just it's like a microphone.
My mind's playing tricks with myself now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look it up. Station controller.
Because I think this almost looks like a microphone, right? And it's got a button and a
no,
ball.
they got yeah. There's two. They've got the two.
Directional pads, or they got joysticks or thumbsticks?
Oh, you're thinking I'm talking about the Move controllers. I'm talking about the regular controllers now that have the
regular.
the thumb pads.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Move controllers.
Yeah, the Move controllers do not have that. That's the problem. So it takes a little getting used to the way you have to move and stuff like that. And it's kind of frustrating. I'm sure it gets better the more you use it, and you'll get adapted to it pretty soon, I'm sure. But just moving through the normal like home screen menus of the PlayStation, you know, like scrolling through your different games and stuff, can be annoying with the Move controllers. It's so much easier just with a regular controller. But anyway, in Doom VFR, it takes a lot of getting used to that type of movement, but they help you deal with that with the way that they integrate the teleporting as they integrate it as a fighting option as well. Because if you hit a mob several times, it can start flashing blue. It like pauses for a second, like it's stunned, and it flashes blue when it's in that state, and you can teleport directly to it, directly into its space, and it's as if you're teleporting into it and it explodes.
Oh, wow.
And then you can get, like, if it drops like health points or anything, then you automatically get them at that point. And I think it may heal you a bit when you do it as well.
Okay.
So it's definitely something I have to look into doing more.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's nice that they took that downfall, I guess, and turned it into a potential positive there.
Yeah,
it was a good way to good workaround for it.
Yeah, that's the thing,
it just
right?
Takes getting used to.
Is that there's some work to be done and figuring some of these things out, how the best accomplish some of these things, and they're still working that out, but they're putting a lot more minds to the problem, so I think that's going to be nothing but good in the end.
There's a lot of good things on the radar. A lot of technology improvements and stuff with.
Yeah, I know that they talked about like the Snapdragon, the Qualcomm Snapdragon, that the chip that they're using is
with computer chips.
Potato chips or crisps are thin slices of potato that have been deep fried or
computer
baked until crunchy.
No.
Thank you, computer.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Let me see. There's that.
Damn it! Now I want potato chips.
Now I want potato chips.
Damn it!
I want some kettle chips though.
Damn you, Alexa.
Okay, I don't think that.
I don't remember what I was talking about now.
We were talking about advancements in VR, and it's
yeah,
so
not
computer
just computer chips,
but
also... I just watched a documentary about it last night. There was a lot of new stuff with batteries, and a lot of that has to do with graphene, the discovery of graphene, and how they're beginning to integrate that into batteries. So they don't I don't think there's any like we're not quite at the true graphene battery stage yet, but there are batteries that are augmented with graphene that are making vast battery improvements just from that alone. Where they'll be able to, not overheat. They'll be able to hold more charge or hold a charge for longer, have a much better, longer overall life of the battery itself. It can charge many more times than it would otherwise be able to charge in its life. Faster charging times, So a lot of potential benefits from that, as well as possible weight reductions. At least when you finally get to a graphene battery, a full graphene battery, and just the amount of things that alone, just improved battery tech, the amount of things that would improve, like with VR, with the smaller headsets for standalone devices and stuff, and now they have the flexible nanotechnology. It can influence so much not nanotechnology, but graphene, and basically nanotechnology, because it's on the same kind of level. Like one layer of graphene is like an atom thick. It's an atom thickness, I think.
That's funny. Graphene. You know, it just occurred to me, Randy, that I'd heard them talk about graphene at another place. And the way that they make graphene is like, it's like nano crap, right? It's
Well, there's different ways. The way it was discovered was that people, two scientists, I can't remember exactly what they were doing, but it was basically just Scotch tape or some form of tape. Think Scotch tape. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it was or not. Brand name, but anyway. And like pencil lead, graphite.
Yeah.
So you do that, and then they, and you know, you did that as a kid, right? Like when you like lifting your fingerprints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they did that, but then they kept reapplying tape to it and peeling it off, and so it'd make thinner and thinner layers until you get to that point where it's just about one atom thickness, and that's graphene, where it's the matrix or whatever aligns in a certain structure. That's one atom thickness.
Okay.
I believe.
So yeah, I do think that is what I was thinking about, and I heard it talked about in reference to space ladders.
Yeah.
And that they were saying
because it's stronger than steel.
Yeah.
Yet it's
so
flexible, and like all these other benefits of it.
That they said that was the key, that breaking the graphene or whatever it was, that there's like MIT or somebody has yearly competitions.
Carbon nanotubes as well.
Carbon nanotubes.
Yeah, I think that's where they first started talking about that with the space elevator, was carbon nanotubes, because there was a whole documentary about about possible how it could change construction. How they could make it so almost like buildings would build themselves with these carbon nanotube methods.
That's cool.
Where they'd have like robots or whatever. I can't remember exactly. But you could have all kinds of new, because of the structural elements of it, the strength of it, the flexibility of it, the durability, and it's all environmentally friendly as well. That you can do things that we would never be able to do right now with the traditional materials that we're used to.
Right.
So you could have all kinds of new building designs, and it was a really cool documentary.
Yeah,
this was like 10 years ago at least, I think, that I saw that.
Yeah, because I watched this thing about
time just flies so fast.
About this guy who I think he was trying to create a sky ladder, and it was the ups and downs of that.
The elevator.
Yeah.
The space elevator.
Space elevator.
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't have anything that would be strong enough, and they think I think it's the carbon nanotubes technology anyway that they think may be able to
be the secret.
make
Yeah,
that
and
a
that's what they were. I think I thought that they were talking about that there was some competition specifically for the nanotubes that. Hold on a second. This is.
And they have talking about batteries and stuff. They have batteries now that they say are going to make natural resources like solar and wind more viable, because they can actually store the energy during the excess energy created during the day, so that it can, for solar, so that it can still be used at night. So it's not just so that they're not useless at night.
Gotcha.
That it's not creating excess wasted energy during the day, and they'll be able to store that and use it at night. Because one of the major drawbacks of solar was that you only get power generation when the sun's out.
Yeah.
And you only get wind power when the wind is blowing. So you needed a way to efficiently store all that energy. And now they think they have some batteries that are capable of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. It's been slow, but you're slowly starting to see some of this stuff start to happen, right? It's like I
Yep.
know my old condo, they needed to put in they moved where the mailboxes were, and so they had to put it in, and it was in a spot that was dark, and so they needed a light, and they used a solar light. And it was like, that's awesome. That we're at a spot to where LED are so energy efficient, and that combined with improvements in the batteries can give you something like that. It's like, that's great. And I was using some wireless headsets last night, and they would charge to 60% in about 5 minutes. It's just like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that more and more, that the recharge times in particular are just improving greatly, and that's exciting. Yeah, you're always talking about the battery technology. Also, things like electric cars and things like that are so important.
Yep. And now with autonomous driving cars,
Yeah,
they can drive themselves. The Teslas. I think they were talking about Amazon is planning on having its own fleet of self-driving cars and stuff, I think.
Yeah, it seemed like I heard something about
as
that.
well as they're like looking into drones and trying to come up with ways to make the drones viable. They have different like building plans. One of them was talking about having like a resting spot on top of light posts that the drones could land on and recharge and wait for deliveries or whatever, I guess. And then it was talking about that they could drop deliveries down the lamppost, and it would be like, I'm not sure what all that involves, but like that was the delivery system for. They had a whole bunch of different ideas that they were just like, oh, let's get out all these possibilities and patent them all so that
That's funny.
if any of this actually works, we can we can get a hold of it. What else was it talking about? One thing was talking about with the graphene improvements with the batteries, and I think it was talking about Tesla, but I'm not certain. That the car battery. No, wait, this one was, I think, a Samsung battery. Yeah, Samsung uses a type of augmented battery that uses graphene. And they use actually graphene spheres in their construction, I guess. And they have I think a chemical method for doing that. Something with CO2 to make the graphene spheres, and it allows them to make, at least relatively, considering that was one of the problems with graphene, was the ability to create masses of it cheaply. Like it's very difficult to create in large mass, and this is a way around that, where they can actually at least comparatively create a large amount for a relatively inexpensive process, I believe. And so they were talking about the Samsung car battery that would allow you to get like 460 miles, I think, per charge, and a charge would only take 20 minutes.
Say that again. How far?
Like 460 miles.
460 miles on a charge, and a charge would take 20 minutes?
On one charge, and a charge only takes 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they were talking about being able to charge your phone like I think in 12 minutes, like fully charge your phone in 12 minutes.
That's crazy. That's just nuts.
12 or 20, I don't remember. But yeah. So just from adding this graphene material to batteries, they increased them significantly. So they can take a charge faster, take more of a charge, last longer, charge more times,
be lighter,
and not overheat. I'm not sure currently how they rate weight-wise improvement. That's obviously a goal that they have, but I don't know with what their the current iteration, if they're getting any weight improvements on that specifically or not. But very promising regardless.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's so many things that are just like right on the cusp.
Yeah, agreed. I had bad luck trying to get the broken sword on the elf. I'm trying to see if I have better luck with the axe head on the dwarf. Maybe.
FYI, it is 3 till 2. FYI, it is 2 till 2.
Yeah, okay, I think that might actually work.
Did you get a chance to play any more VR recently?
I haven't, no, because like I said, the spot that I had cleared out became the repository for things from here. So I am looking forward to hopefully maybe by next week be back to.
Yeah, you got the flotsam and jetsam overflow from the from the flood.
But yeah, I am. I want to play. I was really starting to enjoy playing Beat Saber. That was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to playing a little bit of that and playing some more of that.
Yeah,
ping pong.
You had me play that for a minute, and it's like it was cool how quickly you can get into like a dance sort of feeling from it.
Yeah, by just saying, I want you to kind of do this action in this direction with this hand, and then it's like and then you're doing it to songs, and it's just like you're like, oh wow, this is It
does lend itself to that very well.
Very well. And there's just, I don't know what it is. There's just something about swinging a lightsaber that is just
satisfying.
It's very there. Okay, so it looks like we did have some success with the dwarf axe. I think that one of the problems that I'm having, Randy, is that I'm putting the glue on both pieces, and you're only supposed to, I think, put it on one. Put it on one and then put the other. And I think I was putting glue on both pieces, and that wasn't helping me, I don't think. So I'm going to try it again with this guy's hand. Putting it on one, giving a couple seconds.
Sunday looks like Sunday is everything you think is wrong day.
Everything you think is wrong. I like that.
Which is good, and that you should be aware that a lot of people, and I think all of us have this at some point, where we're certain that we know that something is some way. But you know what? You may be wrong.
There's something that you believe to be absolutely true that I am positive is absolutely not true. And I believe that about myself. I know that's where, we talk about the live confidently but with honest introspect, because you gotta realize, right, that there's things that you believe to be absolutely true that just aren't.
Yeah.
They're just not.
And it's hard because like you hear something and like you believe that to be true.
Yeah.
Like, but they could be wrong. And so you go off and you thinking like, this is the way this thing is. You're like, no, that can be totally wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
So people get into arguments about this shit, and it's like, you know what? No, that's not the way it is. You're basing your true held belief here on a misconception, and you're having an argument about it. It's ridiculous.
Yes. There's something about, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I heard somebody was like say something about like, you did it that way, like why would you do it that way? Like that's just so stupid, and it's just so obvious that it's so stupid. And it's just like, it made me want to ask the person, like, using your hands represent all the knowledge that there is to know. Now that you've established that, with your fingers, show me how much you know. And it's just like, so much of what you didn't learn to talk by rules. You didn't learn to walk by learning rules. You did it, right? So much of what we do and what we know just comes from by just being out there and living and doing. You don't know the right ways to do things. And if you knew the right way to do everything before you did it, you would never do a goddamn thing.
No.
But yet there was such a haughtiness about it, like, and it was unsatisfying. All right, so Randy, we're having I'm having much better luck when I'm only using the super glue on one piece. But look how this guy came out here. So let me take off my my readers so I can actually see the television monitor. This over here. There we go. Now this is going to rock some, but this is going to be a problem. Yeah, Randy.
Oh, you got him on the base. Nice.
Yeah, and I got his
That's
hand.
a cool fig.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this was the bonus that you got from the Kickstarter too. I got like the hero pack, and I got like the bad guy pack, which was, you got like a goblin, a hobgoblin, a mummy, a zombie, a dead knight,
Knobgoblin.
a knobgoblin. Oh, Randy, you just tricked me. I don't know shit from knobgoblin. But yeah, so we've got everybody except for we don't have his sword. The sword and a scabbard is the only two pieces that we have. So I think we'll try to see if we can successfully join these, and we'll call it a wrap if at that point if we are successful. Let me see here.
I got some of your, is it live from snack time?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jasper, 3 years old, says, I don't want to do yoga. I just want to eat my pizza in my room and cry.
He's going to have a tough life, that one.
We all feel like that sometimes, Jasper.
We do.
So.
We do. I feel that way right now. So, no, I'm just saying. You can tell that some of these youngsters, they're in for a tough go.
Anonymous 6-year-old says, sometimes I fall down on purpose so that I can take a break.
I like that a lot. Come on, elven sword. Make a high, make a hiney ho.
That's so sweet. Anonymous 6-year-old. I can't show you how much I missed you because my hands are too small.
Aww. I think I might have gotten the sword.
Yay.
And then the only other thing is the scabbard on the Conan guy, but I gotta cut off one of these pieces first. So let me see if I can set you down, please.
I think next Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, wow.
I gotta figure out if I'm making... mine just went blank. What's it called?
Corned beef and cabbage.
Yes, corned beef. Thank you. If I'm making corned beef and cabbage, or if I'm going to try a Guinness beef stew.
Guinness beef stew. That's interesting.
Like some Irish soda bread and some Irish apple cake for dessert.
I gotta be honest, I'm no shit from apple cake.
You like my apple cake?
No, I like to think about everything you make. You're very good. Your baked goods in particular are very fine. All right, I need to do a little trim of this. Hopefully it doesn't snap. And it didn't, so that's good. And then we put the scabbard onto homie's leg, Randy, and then these are going to be so fun to paint. Man, the detail on these minis. I'm really going to try to use some thin paints on these to preserve as much of this detail. I think I'm going a little too thick with my paint, so I'm going to try to Be lean and mean.
That's like thick with 3 C's.
Yeah. 3C thickness. All right. So that goes.
Gotta check my blood donation schedule to see if they got an open slot for the red. Power red.
Do you think you'll be attending?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get that taken care of.
Well, good for you, Randy. So, one last thing that's... Well, actually, no. For a little while.
Ooh, I'm sleepy.
So again, Randy, want to remind everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. Please take a look at all the links that we have down in the below section. And we're kind of just
How do you subscribe?
Well, when
you hit the subscribe button?
Yeah, if you hit the subscribe button, that will also give you access to an icon that looks not unlike a bell. And if somebody were to click that, let's see. Yes! I'll keep clicking it. Oh, babies. Yes, that's the sweet magic. Johnny like. Yep, and that will give people notifications of when we're doing streams and such. We are switching on doing Twitch and on YouTube, so I'm not 100%. It's been a while since I've refamiliarized myself with the Twitches, and I'm not sure what likes, shares, subscribes they have. I need to refamiliarize myself. So, all right, I think we got the scabbard on. Here, Randy. I have been listening to those audio stories of Conan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I keep falling asleep during them, so I keep like starting it over and over and over and over. And the first one's called like the Phoenix and the Sword or something like that. And Conan's a king, so this is like one of the first stories, and Conan's already a king, but he was a barbarian king. And there's this guy who is. Imagine like you are. Imagine that you are a ruler, right? And you wanted to kill you were planning on killing Conan, right? And so you had this servant, and he's telling you that I could be of good use to you, and actually I was very powerful back in the day, but I had been displaced, and that's why I'm actually in this, and it's only because my magic dagger has been taken away from me. And the guy who's not paying any attention because he's somebody that's so beneath him, he's like, oh, dagger, I have a magic dagger, and it turns out to be that guy's magic dagger, and so he kills him and is now trying to kill Conan. And it's just like, lovely, this is great. And I started to fall asleep last night, and it was one of the things that people were recommending. Was like, especially like in D&D, like describing combat, that this guy does a really good job with it. And so I just got to some of the combat scenes, and I started to fall asleep, and so I was like, all right, I was having a hard time paying attention to it. It's like, I gotta stop this because I really want to pay attention to that part. But so far, yeah, it's been very enjoyable.
Nice.
Yeah. And then also I'm checking out a book called Split Infinity. My ex-wife had read these books by Piers Anthony. I think it's called the Adept series. And I was talking with John, and he'd mentioned them a couple times. And I'm listening to it, and it has to do with some robot stuff. And so I talk that once I get a little further into it. But it's been very enjoyable as well. I've been trying to listen to audiobooks to go to sleep instead of watching things, but obviously last night that didn't work out very well. All right, Randy, I think that we actually have all of our pieces glued here. Let me see if I can successfully remove this nozzle, because I don't think that this is supposed to fit. No, it's not. So that's got to be removable. So let's see here if we can actually... Oh, that's, I guess, what the ring is for. got that there. Put this magnet strips, one of my all-time favorite tips and tricks, using magnetic strips on the underside of the shelf so you can store your scissors. All right, that I think is just going to get thrown away. All right, so just a quick summary here, Randy, of all the guys that we worked on. We've got this fine gent here. We had to add an arm, another arm, and a scabbard. We've got this.
Show your pieces.
What's that?
Show the pieces.
Oh, I thought I was. Sorry. Him. And we've got our goblin. This was the guy that was giving us the problem. We couldn't get his hand, his butcher hand. But we finally got that locked in. Yeah, we're getting a lot of movement on that. There we are. We've got our elf who had a broken sword. That is now remedied. We had our dwarf who had a broken axe. It's really dynamic pose. I actually really enjoy it. That's not great. And we have an undead dwarf, I think. Undead zombie dwarf.
Nice.
And let's see here. We had a couple of various monsters here. We got a mummy and a skeleton and a zombie. And we had the Dark Knight, pretty cool looking guy here. And he's looking straight from the Molly Hatchet cover. We got this. I think this is like an ogre. He's got a really neat looking face. And I think, oh, then, so there was, I don't think I showed you this guy. We had the wizard, but we also got the sort of prisoner, Randy here. So we got prisoner guy.
Keep playing the wounded prisoner.
Yeah.
I'm not falling for it.
Nope. This is, I think, an orc. He's got a great face.
Got a face only your mama would love.
Listen, get him in there. There you go.
Oh, that's cool. You're gonna have fun painting that one.
Yeah. And then, last but not least, we've got, let's see if we can get her. Yeah, here you go.
Nice.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Don't break it.
So this will be a lot of fun to paint. So, look forward to doing that. It was good to get these done. I'll work on getting these base coated and some things, and hopefully we can have some fun. I'll probably be working on the dragon and the Star Spawn Cthulhu as well. But Randy, I believe that's going to be it for us for today's program. I appreciate you being here, and again, man, extra thanks for the last week or so with the extra help that you've given me. It was it was important for my for all my well-beings, I think. So I just want to let you know I do.
General sanity.
Yeah, my mental, my physical. 'Cause I'm still hurting physically, so you doing half of that, at least half of it, was pulling those tiles up was
Yeah, the
huge.
glued tiles. Those are the pain in the butt.
Yeah, so that was huge, and then yeah, helped me during the deskunking as I had my little meltdown. I appreciate that. So
problem, bud.
so thank you for that, and remind everybody to the doctor's promise, words to live by: never cowardly, never cruel, never give up, never give in. Randy, you have anything else?
Love yourselves, love one another, and donate some blood, damn it.
Yeah. Give blood, play rugby. I used to have an Irish shirt that said that. But yep. All right. Well, be good, everybody, and we will talk with you soon. And oh, wait a minute. We'll give a little dance out here. I'll move it over here. Bow. 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 Bow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.